Speaking of being angry, Mitch, can you imagine being a Chicago Bears fan right now? Because I can't relate. Pour
Today,
one out for Victory
oh,
Monday. It's a sober Victory Monday, but a
Victory
Victory
Monday.
Monday nonetheless. Oh my God, what an ending, dude. That's what happened to the Browns from 1999 to 2022. That's what happened. But this is a new look Browns team. This Browns team is 9-5. We're essentially one game win away from a playoff berth. We are on a streak, Mitch, and it is a special, special time. A game in which you wouldn't think they'd have won because it looked like they were just giving the game away for 3.5 quarters. And then the legend of Joe Flacco, the old man in the football, just keeps growing and growing. A man we never thought would even don a Cleveland Browns uniform, let alone play productively in it. And here he has his team on the cusp of another playoff berth. And who knows what's going to happen after that? With a quarter of the roster in terms of salary, the salary listing on the IR. It's crazy.
Yeah. First off, what I want to address is all the haters that say the Browns are so lucky. We are not lucky.
Hmm.
Okay. At this point in the season, with how the Browns are winning, this is not luck because we don't have our full roster. You just mentioned a fourth of our roster, starting roster on IR. Mitch, we were down to players from three players from the opening day roster, I believe. I guess it's more. Two players in the offensive line
Yeah. Yeah.
from
That's
the
what it
opening
is.
day roster left. Okay. The backup that came in game one, in Dawad Jones, is done. We are down to one starting offensive lineman from the first game of the year, and that is now Wyatt Teller. We are down to our fourth quarterback, whom may I mention, we have won a game with all four starting quarterbacks. It is mind boggling. And I will give credit where credit's due. What Kevin Stefanski has done as head coach, what this staff has done with this roster, backs up against the wall. If this team wasn't 8-5 going into that game yesterday, you would have thought we were a 500 team at best. The way people act, the way people are worried. But this team wins. This is a team that is so different than these other teams that we've had since 1999. Maybe 2020, you could say somewhat similar, but that team wasn't without one of the top two running backs in the NFL, wasn't without basically their entire starting offensive line, wasn't on their fourth quarterback, wasn't going through personnel changes defensively. It was that game yesterday, the Browns had no business winning. And typically in years past with the Cleveland Browns, they would not have had that fight. They would have not have come back. And I would have to venture that game probably, Mitch, ends up more like a 24 or 27-10 win for the Chicago Bears. But
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
Flacco, all the dude does is win in Cleveland Brown Stadium. We saw it. I mean, my gosh, dude, how many times did he hurt us in Cleveland as the Baltimore Ravens starting quarterback? I don't want to mention the team he played for last year that got that win second week of the season because it still hurts me a little bit. One more win should do it for the Browns to get in. I'm not worried about one more win. I'm not. I'm worried about, can this team run the table and can they get some help? Because I don't know what it is. Actually, I do know what it is. We have a true home field advantage. What I would do for this team to somehow, it will take luck, obviously, much like I've referenced in every single sport. Yes, to win it, you have to be a very good team, but you have to have something break your way in terms of luck. What I would do for this team to be the number one seed in the AFC and
Hmm.
host a playoff game, and the playoffs go through Cleveland. Because, Mitch, I'm going off this year and this year alone. This team on the road is not the same. It is obviously clear and evident. Now, obviously, the West Coast, I was never confident. This team has not won on the West Coast in years since the Raiders were last
Right.
in Oakland.
Right.
But this team at home, they are 7-1. The one loss I still put an asterisk next to because we
Yeah.
changed quarterbacks an hour before kickoff.
Yeah.
This team at 1 o'clock is so hard to beat. This team at home is virtually unbeatable. And this team plays with a swagger. And I don't know what it is. You have to make sure you get one more win. But damn it, I want three more. And I want to see the Ravens lose to San Francisco on Christmas night and then drop one of their final two to either Miami or Pittsburgh. And somehow these Kansas City Chiefs that look nothing like the Chiefs teams of the past 5 years to drop one of their final three. Because then the Browns will be the number one seed in the AFC. Because we definitely need Miami to lose again. But Mitch, they're probably playing the hottest team in the NFL week 18 of the season, the Buffalo Bills. And that's so far down the road, I won't worry about it. But damn it, this team finds a way to win. And we haven't seen this. And the last time we've been able to say we were 9-5 is in 2020 when the Browns were 10-4. They went on to win one of their last three. The one loss was the Ravens Monday Night Football. The other one was another loss with an asterisk next to it because we had no wide receivers against the New York Jets. And they won against the Pittsburgh Steelers the final week of the season to get in. This team now, what was crazy though, is win or lose yesterday, this team was still going to be the 5 seed in the AFC. That win was so big because now you have a cushion. You have a 1-game lead over two teams that you have tiebreakers over in the Colts and the Bengals. Ideally, what I want is the Browns to win the next two. That game against the Bengals means nothing. You can rest your guys. That's what I want. But there's something about this team that I don't have that. Oh gosh, it's going to happen again. We're going to blow this lead. We're going to blow this lead. And yesterday, even when the Browns came back, it was like, yeah, I kind of assumed it was going to happen at some point. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Well, it was that one touchdown throw from Flacco to Cooper, which is one of the 5 tightest windows I've seen thrown on a football field this season that really got the Browns back in the game. And when you make that defensive stop, you're thinking, okay, just get Dustin Hopkins to around the 35-yard line. He does his thing. And he did. Problem was, Chicago had 3 timeouts to work with at the end, so they didn't allow the Browns to run down the clock all the way to 0. So when you get the football back, you get it to Fields. And there's the thing with Justin Fields, man. The guy's not playing great. I get it. He's not on a good team. This team's not going to have the same head coaches next season. They might not have the same front offices next season. They're probably not going to have a lot of their same receivers back. One of the receivers they're not going to have back is probably Mooney, who, unfortunately for him, and I felt for him at the end, not enough because it would have resulted in our team losing, but to have that deflection on a ball thrown by Fields, which, I was kind of worried towards the end because it was around midfield. You get it deflected, then you're laying on the ground. The ball is falling into your grasp. It's like almost in a basket you could catch this thing in. And then it just rolls out of your hands. The momentum of your leg kicking up in the air pops the ball up out of there. And D'Anthony Bell is in the worst possible spot at the worst possible time for Bears fans. And it is just, that to me is the reason, and I don't know if you agree with this, Mitch, why Chicago is not going to move on from Fields this offseason, why they're going to take Marvin Harrison with the number 1 pick in the draft, and why they're going to focus on building both of the lines to get Fields more comfortable to try and keep making him this franchise guy. Because we know what he can do. He's just been, I don't know. I mean, do you think there's less stock in Fields than I'm giving, or do you think it's more so like Chicago's just not putting a team around him? I think this is proof for Chicago that they shouldn't be trying to just rebuild without Fields. Just try to rebuild around him.
Outside of the numbers yesterday, Mitch, Justin Fields has been playing better as of late. Okay, the 2 interceptions, look, the one was on, they were both on Hail Marys. The one really wasn't an interception.
Those interceptions. Joe Flacco had the worst game when it came to interceptions, even though 2 of them. Yeah.
So, his quarterback rating sucks, and his QBR, he had 2 picks. That affects it. But the one wasn't an interception at half because it hit the ground. I'm kind of shocked it hasn't been changed yet by the statisticians in the NFL, because it clearly hit the ground. The second one, you have to throw that ball to the end zone. I think the Bears are going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to change quarterback or they're going to change head coach. I don't think they're going to get rid of Ryan Poles, the general manager, because he has made moves.
It's fair.
A la Montez Sweat, who, by the way, destroyed us yesterday.
3 sacks.
To make the defense good. The defense isn't bad. It really isn't.
No,
this defense, the Chicago Bears,
the offensive line sucks. That's what it is.
And that's where I think people lose it, Mitch. The offensive line sucks. Well, but we have an athletic quarterback who can get out and run.
He's not a scrambler.
He can do that
Yeah,
because he's so athletic.
but it's not his
That's
first
not the goal.
instinct.
Exactly. And that's not what your goal should be is, oh, we surround him everywhere else. The offensive line's last. No, that's not it. Because you know what? If they get rid of him and they take Caleb Williams or Drake May, it's going to be the same exact thing next
Starting
year.
over.
And if not, it's going to be more sacks because those two, Caleb Williams is athletic, but Drake May not nearly as athletic as those two. It's just going to get sacked more and more. If I'm Justin Fields, I don't know what I want. I kind of think I might want out because what have the Bears done to show you that they can do anything with a quarterback? Nothing. Nothing. They've done nothing but disservice to every single quarterback they've had in the past 15, 20 years.
Go back to post Jim McMahon even.
It's mind-boggling. The one thing I will say, and I want to give Eberflus and the coaching staff credit, why Mooney had a shot at that, Mitch. When these Hail Marys are thrown, what do these defensive coordinators you hear talked about a lot? What do they tell their guys to do?
Keep it in front.
Well, and knock the ball down.
Right.
So what did the Bears do? They said, hey, let's get everybody down there. But one guy kind of back off and see if we can have a chance. Yeah. And Mooney had a chance. I'm not going to rip Mooney.
No, it's Mitch, so unfortunate.
Have you ever played dodgeball?
Of course, many times.
You know how if you catch the ball, you're out. The thrower in dodgeball's out. But you know how it's hard to catch, but it's still easier to catch because it's just a normal circle or sphere, and you can kind of body it against you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if people realize this, but NFL footballs are not normal shapes.
No.
Like a baseball or a basketball or a soccer ball.
No.
Having somebody knock that ball down, in which the Browns did at that velocity, is not an easy catch. I would venture to say that even professional athletes in that spot probably only catch that 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 times. So I'm not going to get on Mooney. Thankfully, he didn't catch it because it broke our way. But I'm curious to see if more teams are going to start doing this with players in terms of if they have to go for a Hail Mary, have everybody down there, but have one guy kind of sink outside or sink back towards the goal line to see if you can get that deflection. Because every time there is a pass deflected towards the ground, how many times have we seen it in any game recently? Bobbled around, juggled around, guys fighting for it before it hits the ground. I don't mind that strategy from the Bears to have guys ready to catch the deflection. It just so happens to be the footballs are very hard to catch because they're not a normal shape. And the velocity of which it's coming down at you at, think about this. You go in the jugs machine to catch footballs. It's coming at you at a perfect spiral at a velocity you're pretty much known it's coming at. It was a tough play for Mooney. Thankfully, he didn't catch it. But this Bears team, the defense, I think, is very solid. If I'm Fields, I think I want out. I would be intrigued to see what teams go after him. We've heard rumblings the Steelers are interested. The Falcons, which I think is very interesting because you look at the running game they have with Bijan Robinson. Now, in my opinion, we'll talk about the NFL here in totality in a second. Arthur Smith probably deserves to be fired for his lack of use of Bijan Robinson, 7 carries yesterday. Justin Fields and Bijan Robinson in the backfield with Kyle Pitts, who's been underutilized, and Drake London, and then Algier and Patterson to the other one. Like that Falcons team is just one bigger piece and probably a smart offensive-minded coach away from actually having something to where if they had it this year, they would probably be running away with this division. I'm just ecstatic that we can sit here at 9-5 and say, hey, you go to Houston, which I would assume CJ Stroud will play, but we don't know yet because he still hasn't cleared concussion protocol.
Right.
Then you come home where you haven't I'm going to say you haven't lost yet with the team that you mean to put out.
I understand, yeah.
Okay. Against the Jets in primetime, where you are virtually unbeatable. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Cincinnati, which we're going to find out. Do the Browns have the Bengals number or do the Browns have Joe Burrow's number? Because it's going to be one of the two. Okay. And for Bengals fans, I don't know which one you're going to want to hope the Browns have. Because if it's the Bengals number, you're in trouble. And then if it's just the fact the Browns have Joe Burrow's number, you're probably going to be a little concerned once Joe Burrow's back too, because this is a guy that's only beaten the Browns one time. But that's 3 weeks down the road. I'm taking this 1 week at a time. The next goal is to beat Houston. Another AFC win would be monumental. It would probably take a whole lot of cluster and disaster for the Browns to miss the playoffs if they were to lose the last two then. And certain teams have to win out. But it feels good to know that our two best players right now are two guys in their mid to late 30s because it's Joe Flacco and Dustin Hopkins. Dustin
I
Hopkins has saved our tail end so many times this year. First off, we didn't even talk about this last week. This man broke Phil Dawson's single season record.
Yes, he did.
This man has the most field goals this year. This is a guy that was probably going to get cut by the Chargers for losing out to Cameron Dicker in the kicking game. And here he is having a Pro Bowl caliber season. He will probably be a Pro Bowler. I'll be shocked if he's not. Offensively, those are the two saving our behind right now.
Sure.
And because defensively, Myles Garrett he's defensive player of the year. He is.
According to Stefanski.
He has to be. Yesterday, he was held, I believe, 13 or 14 plays.
Sure.
Let me check. Never got called. Face mask multiple times. He got horse collared on a play, too, if you saw him drugged down from behind. Nothing called.
Got hit with a card, didn't get called.
I'm going to ignore that one. That's the risk you play, though. We know Myles was fined. We know he went out and criticized the officiating. Sometimes the officiating comes back and they help you, and sometimes they are never going to help you. And it certainly looked like they had an agenda not to benefit Myles Garrett yesterday, my humble opinion.
Agenda?
Because it's crazy.
With the commissioner there?
Yeah. Wow. The commissioner that also probably doesn't like us because of the deal we gave to Deshaun Watson.
Well, I mean,
whatever that may be. Either way, victory Monday. The Browns are 9-5. Get one more, but like I said, 1 week at a time. Get three more. Because 2020, it still wasn't settled that last week of the season. It was you're in.
No. Yeah.
This one is you win next week. You
win next week. Yeah. They had a couple other things where it's like, even if they don't win, they would need to win and other teams would need to lose. I need to know which specific teams would need to lose in order for them to clinch a playoff spot.
But that's the thing is you control your own destiny here. And that's the biggest thing. That's what you want as a team. Okay. There's no playoff spots are clinched in the AFC yet, which is crazy because you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think the AFC from top to bottom is way more.
There's way more parity.
And the NFC probably has at the top the better teams right now.
Yeah.
Between the Niners and the Eagles. And I'm not putting the Cowboys in there anymore because Dak Prescott threw his name out of that.
One game. Okay. It shows that the Bills are back for sure. But one game we want to throw Dak Prescott out of the race. One game we want to throw Dallas out of the race.
Well, did we not say the same thing about Jalen Hurts after the loss to San Francisco? It's just where we are.
I don't think we did.
Media kind of did. It's where we're at with this game.
Well,
in the NFL is what have you done for me lately, and how good have you played lately?
Well, the MVP race is so muted down anyway. This is the most open year ever. Like we're at a chance now where Brock Purdy is the odds favorite to win now. I don't know. This is like the year the kicker won the MVP back in '82. I don't remember who it was, but it was a kicker because nobody else stood out. Was that the strike? Was that the strike year? I don't know. Might have been. I don't know.
But either way, I think it's a great segue to start talking about the rest of the NFL because yesterday was you had teams you never thought should win a football game the rest of the year win a game. A la the Carolina Panthers. And you had teams that you expected, all right, this is where they're going to make their statement. This is the statement coming right now, a la the Dallas Cowboys. And instead they get boat raced with a garbage touchdown in the end, which still baffles me because McCarthy left everybody in for the Cowboys. They scored and then they kicked off. So what was the point of that? I would have assumed they go for the onside kick, although you probably still weren't going to win that game. But like, you had your guys in a game, the final was 31 to what? The final was 31-10. It was 31-3. And you had your guys in still and you score and then you kick off. It's like, why? Why did you even let guys in there to take hits? But yesterday was a wild day. You're starting to get a little bit more of a clear picture in some aspect. And where I'll start with is the Sunday night game and kind of sit here and tell you I'm right so far. The Jaguars aren't legit.
I mean, not without their quarterback who just suffered a concussion and may not even play this coming week. I mean, that doesn't help.
They're tied, 3-way tie in the AFC South for first place in that division, which is nuts.
It's going to be Indianapolis. It has to be the route that they're taking. It's going to be.
So before we keep talking about it, in my opinion, there's 3 coaches, at least in the AFC side, that have cases for coach of the year.
Yep, I know 2 of
Kevin
them.
Kevin Stefanski, Shane Steichen,
Hmm.
and D'Amico Ryans.
Okay, yeah, Ryan's my
And,
other one.
and I think that if the Colts or Texans win that division, I think that the voting is going to be so close if it's between the winner of that division. It's one of those 2 teams and Stefanski that I don't know which way it goes because those 2 teams were not supposed to be anywhere near the playoffs this year,
Mm,
especially once Anthony Richardson went down, though,
yeah,
is for the Colts.
yeah, Colt. Yeah, sure. I mean, some people thought the Colts could get in preseason. Everyone thought the Texans would probably still be a 3-4 win team, but they're doing what they got to do. But yeah, Stefanski's already won one, so I can see them maybe going that route.
But you look at what Stefanski's done. I mean, Mitch, I'm not, in terms of offensive play caller, I'm not the biggest fan, but what he's done, has any coach done this recently? I don't think, I can't remember. But my, oh my, this is going to be a wild 3 weeks. And I misspoke. The Ravens clinched a playoff spot last night with the win. So one team in the AFC has clinched a playoff spot, but there's still a chance that they don't win the division. So what's your take on what happened yesterday in the NFL?
Cowboys also clinched a playoff spot.
I said AFC. I don't care what people say.
I don't know. I mean, in the AFC, I mean, look, you speak about those Colts. I mean, they beat up on a Steelers team so bad that Mason Rudolph's the starting quarterback this week.
I've said it for a few weeks now, Mitch. Steelers fans, welcome to hell. Because not only that, Mitch, but these fans have lost their mind. They want Tomlin out of Pittsburgh. They want to start over. It's it's so awesome. It's so awesome to see.
I just sent my friend. You can't see the message today, but I sent him the news of the thing here, and I just texted him your poverty. Oh, it's amazing. I'm not sold on Tomlin being ousted yet. But I don't know. Like the Steeler fan, they're not used to this. They're just not used to
No.
being in dead last in the AFC North this late in the season. Wow. How could this possibly be? Who would ever suffer through this? I mean, who knows?
And that's the thing is Tomlin's never had a losing record. Now it looks like the Steelers are on pace to possibly have that, but
one more, yeah, one more. Or no, 2 more losses.
2 more losses. A lot of them are, well, it's fine if he's had a winning record, but we don't want to be mediocre. And that's true. But as you've now seen with Kenny Pickett, who was anointed, this great quarterback preseason, a quarterback that was going to lead the Steelers to playoffs, which, by the way, Joe Flacco has as many passing touchdowns as Kenny Pickett in 10 quarters as Pickett does all season long before he got hurt. So let's just make sure I mention that. There's no surefire guarantee that if you go back to the draft, you're getting the guy that you think you're going to get. It's crazy. And I think the Steelers are they're caught in this thing of everything we do is always right, but we want to start over, but we do everything right, so it's just going to work every time. No, it's not.
That was from like them having low 20s draft picks and like figuring that would work. Again, that's why if they trade for Fields, I'm going to be scared. That's what I'm like. Yeah. It.
You know what? I won't be scared if they keep Tomlin, because I did have a good conversation with a Steelers fan. Mike Tomlin's biggest mistake recently is he keeps hiring offensive coordinators who are unqualified and don't challenge him. We see a lot of coaches that don't want to be challenged, but at the same time, I think a lot of the time you see these teams that are successful have guys on the staff that will challenge the head coach. And I think you need to have that. So if they get Fields to keep Tomlin, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily be worried until I see it after a full season. But in terms of the playmaker, we know Justin Fields can be and should be if he's put in a good spot. I would be worried in that aspect, but they also have a lot of other issues with their wide receivers. George Pickens doesn't like to run block, gives up on plays in the middle of the game. The Steelers are right now just in a horrible spot if you're a Steelers fan, and everybody else right now absolutely loves it.
Four offensive coordinators in the Mike Tomlin era: Bruce Arians, Todd Haley, Randy Finkner,
fired,
and Matt Canada,
fired. Don't forget Arians left for Don't forget Arians, I believe, left for the head coaching job in Arizona, or he resigned to take a year off for his health.
I thought he
before
went.
to
I
Arizona.
thought he went to Indianapolis.
He may have went to. He
Yeah,
was in
didn't-
Arizona too.
yeah, but he was in Arizona, and then what was it? Did he come to Indianapolis first, or was it after?
Either
Bruce
way,
Arians,
he
yeah,
left. He left for other opportunities. So
yeah,
this is the third coordinator that Tomlin's fired. First time in a long time.
Colts
Steelers
1 year.
fired somebody.
Colts 1 year, took over Pagano, went to Arizona. Yeah, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. By the way, speaking of coaches, one got fired over this weekend. Buddy,
Long
boy,
overdue.
my 2022 preseason coach of the year candidate. God, could you go out any worse than not like a loss that was so bad people were calling him to not even get on the plane, and who knows if he even did. You feel for him, you feel for the Perry native and Brandon Staley, but good God, to get tripled up by a team that already fired a Northeast Ohio based coach this year. What's going on with the Northeast Ohio based coaches? But God, that I don't even know what this was, and the Chargers are at a standstill now where. I don't know. Is Herbert going to get traded, or are they just going to build around him again? That's 3 head coaches now.
I don't know, but I'm going to also sit here again and pump my fist because I wasn't buying into the Herbert hype. These people wanted a
Stop. It's not him.
But at the same time, you don't just get to crown a quarterback who's done nothing in the NFL as a top 5 quarterback.
So
He's done nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. He just blew a 27-point lead in the playoffs because they couldn't move the ball in the second half. He also has a reputation of doing that at Oregon in college as well. Okay, this is a quarterback that would start out fast and didn't close games well. I think Herbert's a good quarterback, but I'm not going to sit here anymore and say he's a top 5 or even top 10 quarterback.
No one's saying that yet because of the things
a lot of
that
people
are.
Were.
Yeah, maybe he's got the tangibles to do that, but the guy's got to be part of a team that can close out games and get some more playoff experience. Because right now you're in what, year 4 under him, and he's still got a lot of game left. But if this had kept going under Staley, it honestly might have gotten worse.
I mean, I don't know if there was any way for it to get better, except for them being one of the worst teams and having an easier schedule next year.
To be a defensive coordinator in Los Angeles with some great players on that team, and to have a bottom 7 defense in each of your 3 seasons in LA is nothing short of remarkable.
It doesn't even make sense when you look at the roster they have defensively and the players they go out and they draft and they sign in free agency and they extend that they draft, how that defense could be as bad as they are. And it just goes to show you potentially that there are amazing coordinators that just don't work out as NFL head coaches. And Staley might be one of them. There are coordinators who make great NFL head coaches. But I mean, I wasn't shocked. I figured he would have been fired a few weeks ago when this team could not get anything going their way. If I'm Staley, the only thing I'm mad about is I didn't get fired right after the game. I got fired when I got back to LA because if you got fired after the game, you could stay in Vegas. So probably have a good time, waste away all the sorrows and everything. Realize you're still getting millions of dollars. Do not do your job now. But I wasn't shocked. I was actually more shocked that it was fired so much later after that game ended. 63 points to a team that started Aiden O'Connell and was missing the reigning rushing title leader in Josh Jacobs.
It's crazy.
It's mind-boggling.
It was 42-0 at halftime. Even the Browns, the year that they beat the Steelers in the wildcard game, weren't up that much. Like, we thought that game was over. This one was over.
And I'm kind of mad I went to bed because I was like, these two teams suck. I'm not even going to watch this game. I didn't watch a single snap. And I was like, damn. Woke up the next day.
I mean, if you're a Raiders fan, you would stay up and watch the whole thing, but that's not for anybody to witness. It couldn't even get Al Michaels back awake for any exciting calls for the rest of the night.